Hey everyone, welcome back to my Halo Wars 2 Beginner's Guide. In today's video, we're going to be talking about Pavium, one of the last leaders added into Halo Wars 2. This guide, of course, is intended for new players and beginners in the game, but everyone is welcome to watch it. There's also a playlist featuring tons of more videos for beginners in Halo Wars 2, everything from how to play as different factions to how to play better using your economy and how to break super turtles, air spam, things like that. There is a whole playlist for you to check out there. If you have any more questions after watching this guide, please join our Discord server. We have almost 3,000 people dedicated to loving Halo Wars 2, and there's bound to be someone in there that could answer your questions. So before we get started with the build order, let's talk about the pros and the cons of Pavium. Let's start with the pros. Pavium is a very defensive leader. If playing defense is more of your style, Pavium's definitely going to be right up your alley. A lot of his powers and the way that he's designed is very much intended to play defensively. The Pavium hero unit has a drone, and what this drone does is that it heals buildings, and that may not seem really cool, but it can really save you during some attacks. So an example could be that you could build Pavium and then lock your base so Pavium actually doesn't deploy onto the field, but that drone will be there. So if someone's attacking you while Pavium is locked inside your base, that drone will actually heal the base while Pavium's locked in it. It's kind of cool. A little bit of an exploit there, I guess. It can also help your teammates' bases, any ally bases or buildings on the map that drone can heal. And a great combo is you can put Pavium in a bunker. If one of your teammates is playing as Johnson, put the Pavium hero unit in the bunker, and you're going to have a great time because the bunker will heal based on Pavium's drone. Also, Pavium's ultimate ability, the Lich Vanguard, is really, really great. I pretty much call it a flying scarab. And what's even cooler is that when this power is activated, there's like a little bubble almost that's deployed on the map. And you can train units out of that bubble. So not only are you going to be able to attack your opponent with this insanely strong ultimate ability, it's very similar to close air support, but I think it's more powerful. But you can train units there too and deploy units right there on the field, which is really cool. Mega turrets are so cool. I mean, it's just so amazing to watch mega turrets fire almost across the entire map and start obliterating your opponent before they even show up to your base or your allies' bases. So mega turrets are really neat. And finally, the Burnout ability may not seem really cool, but you can actually use it on your teammates. So your teammates can have a boosted economy as well if they're struggling for supplies or need to train units faster. Let's move over to the cons. What's bad about Pavium? Unfortunately, Pavium is extremely weak overall. He's probably the weakest banished leader by far, and he's probably one of the weakest leaders in the game overall. I would say probably the only one's weaker than him, maybe like Isabel and maybe even Anders, but Pavium is really, for whatever reason, Pavium's just not very good overall. Mega turrets can completely cripple your economy if you're not careful because their cost stack over time. So after you build, like, say, 2 or 3 mega turrets, it's going to become incredibly expensive to continue building them. And plus, since they take up a base building slot, that's just one less slot that you can use to have either as production buildings or supply buildings. There's nothing really special about Pavium either beyond the mega turrets and the Wraith Invaders. Pavium doesn't have any really unique units, kind of say how Yap Yap does. And also, I think Pavium is absolutely terrible if you're going to play in ones. I think you really should avoid playing as Pavium unless you're going to be playing in Team War or some other game mode where you have a teammate, because I think Pavium works best when he complements someone that's going to be the stronger leader. Say, for example, Atriox. Okay, so when the match loads in here, you may want to decide if you want to do mega turrets or not, because that's really the first decision that you're going to have with your leader points. Honestly, most of the time, I'm going to recommend that you get Burnout instead of the Mega Turret power, because you're not going to need Mega Turrets right off the bat in any match. Maybe second or third point is when you would consider getting Mega Turrets, but I think Burnout is just the better option right overall. Now, once you have Burnout 1, when I select this, it can really only get 2 different pads here. As you can see, maybe if we expanded the base and there's going to be another pad here, I could get 3 pads with Burnout. So you want to make sure that you're building your buildings to where you can actually utilize your burnout. And you want to decide, well, what buildings do you want to utilize? It depends on your build order. This is one of the few times that your build order actually matters. So if you want to, burn out your supplies to where you get more supplies, you want to build 2 supply pads or harvesters right here. And then you can burn both of these out. Or you could build a harvester and then a power extractor. So then when you do burnout, you're getting both increased supplies and power. Or another one is that you can choose which one you want to do. You can build both your harvesters here and then build both your power extractors right here. The choice is really up to you on how you want to mix and match. But I would recommend that this 5th pad, you have either to be like, say, a war council or a raid camp or just another harvester, because you would not want to burn out just one pad. So now that both of these are done, I'm going to upgrade this. And if you want to burn this out, keep in mind that the burnout does not speed up the upgrade of the harvester. It will speed up the upgrade of going to 2nd tech, I believe, as well as other unit upgrades. So I'm going to wait for this harvester upgrade to be done. And I'm going to burn this out. And I'm also going to burn out the center of the base as well, just in case if I want to make any units, that's going to speed up their build time on top. I chose the harvesters because now I already have 500 supplies. I can build my 2nd power extractor. Of course, this is a beginner's guide, so I'm focusing on showing you the build, but while you're doing this, as with any leader, you should be sending out your starting grunts to go get your supplies and starting crates. Also, mega turrets may not be the best option on every single map. There's some maps that mega turrets, you may not want to get that power at all. An example could be Highway. I don't think Highway is a good map for mega turrets, but on this map, Sentry, which is my favorite map, mega turrets are a great choice for Sentry. So it kind of depends on what the map is and what you ultimately want to do. So we just got our 2nd leader point here, and we can make a decision on what we want to do. We could get mega turrets if you think it's appropriate to start building them. I usually would wait until maybe 3rd point. We could get Burnout 2, which is probably what we'll end up doing. There's Enduring Will, which is a really huge healing ability. It has a really big radius, but the healing rate is really slow. So this is good to drop on like an entire army or even a base, and this will last for a really long time, and this can be upgraded 3 times. And then there's Orbital Designator, which you can use to gain line of sight from pretty much anywhere. I'm going to go actually Burnout 2. And when we select Burnout 2, you can see that it looks like it's just barely enough to get these 4 pads here. I'm going to show you a trick. Is if you take your cursor over, and this really works best when you're playing as a controller. If you hit left on the D-pad, it's going to take you to the base, and then don't touch where your cursor is. Then you just select Burnout, and you'll automatically get all 4 pads. You don't even need to be concerned. If you move your cursor at any point to be off center from the base, there's a chance that you won't get all 4 pads. But every time that if you hit left on the D-pad to go back to your base, select Burnout, you're guaranteed to get all 4 of these pads. So now I'm getting boosted income from supplies and power. Of course, I have enough resources, so let's get 2nd tech and taking our power nodes. So now we're in 2nd tech. I want to make sure that I'm training my Pavium hero unit, getting the upgrades for him. We want to get a shield generator now that we're in 2nd tech. And now what to decide what we want to build for our army composition in 2nd tech. Well, to be honest, Pavium doesn't have any unique units. He has pretty much all the vanilla banished units that are included with other leaders, such as Atriox and Decimus. So the choice is really up to you. Unfortunately, this is going to depend on a lot of other factors. What map you're playing on, what your opponents are doing, and what your teammates are doing. I actually enjoy making Marauders 2nd tech. So I'm going to build a Foundry. My 2nd base is up, so I'm going to start building harvesters on there. And then I'm going to put my 3rd power extractor on here, and I'm going to expand the base. Burnout 2 is ready, so as before, I'm going to hit left on the D-pad to go back to my base, like Burnout 2. I'm going to get all 4 of those pads again. So I'm getting attacked a little here. This is a perfect chance to show the Pavium drone is healing the base a little. These grunts didn't do hardly any damage, so it's kind of hard to see, but this little drone, kind of a triangle little thing, can heal all allied buildings. We have a couple of leader points here that we can spend, and out of this list that's available, I think Orbital Designator is probably the worst choice. Burnout 3 is fine, but it's not, you don't get as many benefits out of Burnout 3 as you did going from Burnout 1 to Burnout 2. So in my opinion, I would hold off. The Enduring Will is the heal, of course, we talked about last time. The Rain of Fire is pretty much a glassing beam that spins in circles that doesn't really move. And this is great if you combine it with a Maelstrom from Vortis. This is a great way to damage a lot of enemy units, or if you use like Johnson's EMP Mac. And then there's Wraith Invaders. This is, I think, to my knowledge, the only unique unit that Pavium actually has. Kind of similar to the Mastodons from Jerome. But I'm going to, in this case, I would say your two best options are the Rain of Fire or the Wraith Invader, depending on how the match is playing out. I'm actually going to go Wraith Invader for this upgrade. So I would recommend anytime you get Burnout back, you should automatically use it on your base, or if your ally needs it, you put it on their base. You just can't go wrong deploying Burnout constantly. We have our next leader point here. I think the best option is the Lich Vanguard. As I said at the beginning of this video, I call it the Flying Scarab. It is really, really cool. I turned off line of sight for this video, and I'm going to deploy it, say, here. Just watch this. This is so cool. So it falls down from the sky, and it kind of goes in circles, very similar to how close air support does. And it fires the beam that looks and sounds almost identical to the Scarab's main cannon here. And you can just see how much damage this does to this dude's base. And he's upgraded it once. I may actually be able to get his base. And then if you go in this ball here, you're able to train a variety of units. Hunters, Elite Rangers, Suicide Grunts, regular Grunts, Marauder, Locust, Reaver, Wraith. But if you want to know what's best to build out of here, I'd say Wraith is easily the best. If you're being spammed by air, then make Reavers, of course. But I'd say these two are your best bet. Maybe Hunters as well, coming to third place here. But this is really handy having this here. And this stays on the field for quite a while. Both the Lich and the Bubble. I think they disappear at the same time, since they appear at the same time. So I made some infantry and some Wraith Invaders here. So the Wraith Invaders, when you get the upgrade, it does not increase the carrying capacity, kind of like, that's different from how Jerome's Mastodons and Arbiter's Phantoms work. This just improves their, I think it's their defense and their attack stats. But the best army composition in these vehicles should be Hunters and Elite Rangers. Elite Rangers are fairly weak. They don't have a shield. There are 3 Elite Rangers per squad. So I would actually say if you're going to build, say, 3 of them, I would do 2 to 3 Hunters to Elite Rangers. So put Elite Rangers, I made 3 squads of those, and then I made 6 Hunter squads. And we'll put these in here, and those in here. So now when we attack, I have a pretty significant anti-vehicle and anti-infantry. This is perfect timing. You can see how I just completely obliterate these vehicles here. And nothing got close. And, you know, this is great to protect your infantry. The Wraith Invaders have a shield themselves, so that's going to kind of block some attacks from coming in. And then the Wraith Invader vehicle has a cannon that does some leeching. I believe it's kind of similar to how a siphon works. And this can attack ground, infantry, and air. Just because the vehicle can attack air, that doesn't mean that Hunters can suddenly attack air, but this protects your infantry as well when the Wraith Invader is getting damaged. The units that are inside them do not. You can kind of see that pink beam firing. That's the Wraith Invader beam. So before I end this video, I want to showcase mega turrets on just how cool they are. I'm going to construct a couple here on this base. Their cost does stack after each one, so they're going to become quite expensive after building a couple of these. And I would not recommend having regular turrets and mega turrets on the same base. It's kind of counterintuitive So what I would do if you're going to have mega turrets and you don't want to necessarily lose them because they're so expensive is you may want to actually add more shield generators. Another good idea is to add sensor towers to increase the line of sight of your base. Pavium is complemented pretty well by Johnson in a lot of cases. Johnson has the remote sensors upgrade, which increases line of sight for, I don't know if it's all allies. I'm pretty sure it's just Johnson stuff. But if you're playing on a map like Sentry, you're going to get insane line of sight, and that's going to be really beneficial for your mega turrets. I think I'm firing across the entire map here because I turned off Fog of War. That's not going to be the case all the time. It's also why it's a good idea to have power nodes as Pavium, because that can help your mega turrets as well. Orbital Designator can benefit the mega turrets too. You can just get line of sight at a particular spot on the map. And mega turrets have two upgrades: the Lingering Death, which they continue to cause more damage after impact, and then the other one is Compound Detonators. That is increased damage on impact, and you can actually get both of these. Overall, that's pretty much the basics of how to play as Pavium. He's a very defensive leader. He has a lot of powers that benefit his defenses. Just be mindful of that you're always using your Burnout. I like putting them on my first 4 pads here on my main base so I get increased supplies and power. We can also put them on production buildings and get faster infantry or unit build times. And mega turrets are great. Just be mindful that they can be quite expensive, and that after you build a couple of them, they're going to start negatively impacting your economy because you can't build economy buildings in the slot that they're in, of course. Wraith Invaders are the unique unit for Pavium, and they're quite cool, but they consume a lot of population, so just be mindful of that. And the Pavium's drone can heal all allied bases. The Lich Vanguard is really, really cool as well. And Pavium Stand, the power I didn't get for this video, that's pretty much like Aatrox is unbreakable, but it makes them only for structures. So if you want to make all your structures invincible for a short time if you're getting attacked, that's the power for you. That's going to do it for this guide. I hope you learned something on the basics of playing as Pavium. If you have any more questions, please feel free to post a comment down below. The best option is to join our Discord server, where there's thousands of Halo Wars players in there that are probably people are available to answer any sort of question you have as playing as a particular leader. And finally, there is a playlist for all videos in my Halo Wars 2 guide series, going off various leaders and factions and other helpful tips for new players in Halo Wars 2. Okay, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you, James.